Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, where we're fresh out of the shower. It's like it's a required ritual before recording a video, if it's at all possible. Uh, but we've got some news on summoning events coming this week. Obviously, we're expecting, I'd say, a lot of stuff this week and this weekend because it is, Black Friday. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff. This is at least the first batch of things. I'm certainly curious about what is going to happen this weekend, but we have x15, we've got progressive summons. Oh, they're gone now. Okay, well, we do have progressive summons going to be running on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It is going to overlap with clan versus clan, although this is not a personal reward clan versus clan. So, right, the motivation to score high is not really, like, there's not really point in scoring high. But still, this is what it's going on. There could be a hero's path or something. Who the heck knows? But at least as of now, there is nothing in the events or tournament tab to suggest anything. So we'll see. That could change things. If it does, I'll obviously do a video on it tomorrow. Let's dive in. So on Tuesday, the 21st of November, it's going to be a progressive chance event starting at x15 to summon Krisk the Ageless from Voids, Michinaki from Ancients, Sacreds, and Primals. Primals and Sacreds, I should say, and Ragash as well. So presumably Krisk is just locked in, right? You typically choose the champions in these progressive champs. There's only one with Krisk, so Krisk is your choice. I'm guessing you have to choose one of Michinaki or Ragash. These are all great champions. Krisk, I think, is fantastic. I use Krisk in Hydra. I have him. He's great. So I use Krisk all the time in Hydra. I use him in Doom Tower. He's a brilliant progression champion. So he's super, super worthwhile. Though possibly the next Void Legendary we're going to talk about might actually be slightly better overall. But yeah, Krisk is a great champion. He's well worth having. Ragash and Michinaki are also really good, right? Michinaki, he's fantastic. Again, mostly for Hydra with AoE Hex and Buff Strip, AoE decreased defense attack, HP burn A1s, and then ally attacks here. It says it doesn't work against Hydra's exposed necks. They actually added that text in, but it still does. So who knows, man? Like, if they do fix it, I don't know. It seems like they want to fix this, but they failed. So who knows? Maybe they just never will bother, or maybe they will fix it and his power will fall off. It gives him quite a big chunk of extra damage. But hey, look, that is what's happening with Michinaki. But he's brilliant. And then Ragash, I think, is really good as well. Ragash, I'd say he's even somewhat underrated. Like, he's really a top tier nuker because he's very tanky. Especially when Polymorph gets nerfed, he's going to be even stronger because Polymorph is not going to affect him as badly. He brings his own increased defense. So yeah, he's a really hard-hitting defensive nuker with a good affinity, generally speaking, for Arena at the moment. So Ragash is great. It's tough to pick between these. Honestly, it is. It depends. Ragash for Arena, also for Doom Tower Waves. Michinaki for Hydra. Do you care more about Arena, or do you care more about Hydra? But they're both very good. Like, they are both sort of worth chasing. Now, Saf from HH Gaming, actually I saw a lot of the other creators broke down in proper detail these chances. We did like a rough mock-up in my video on progressive chances in the summoning. Saf has a proper breakdown here, which I think is very clear. But you can see, for example, there are actually 164. I was slightly high on that number because I hadn't, in my calculations, excluded the, exclusive champions, right? Champions like Ninja that you can't summon from shards, for instance. There's actually 164 non-void champions available to summon. I think it's a slightly different number, actually, between H's and Sacreds, but I think it's not too important. In a 10x, you'd have a 5.8% chance. In a 15x, 8.4%. So it is a significant chunk better. It's a noticeable chunk better, but it's still fairly small, right? Over 90% of the time, if you get a legendary, it's still not going to be Ragash or Michinaki. So that does hurt a little bit. Now, of course, if you keep summoning and summoning and summoning, your chance will go up to 10.9 and then 13.3. That still seems to me to be very expensive. If I was super close to Mercy and I didn't have Ragash or Michinaki, you know what? I might pull and hit Mercy and try my shot at getting one of those champions, because I do have them both, and I think they're both excellent. So they're both super good, but I wouldn't be pulling all my shards hunting for this, you know what I mean? Like, I just treat it as, do it once for Mercy. And even if I was a Mega Kraken, like, it's a good chance to get them, but not the best. Now, Krisk the Ageless from Voids, that's a lot stronger, actually. So with in a 10x from Voids over here, a 10x is 15%. That goes up to a 21% when it's a 15x from a 10x, right? That's a pretty big jump, and that's sizable. Basically a 1 in 5 chance if you pull a Void Legendary that it would be Krisk. That's quite good. Goes up to a 26% and then a 30 0.86%. Now, this is a big deal for Krakens. Like, if you are the type of person that's going in and you're like, yo, I'm spending $1,000 on Void Shards to chase these specific legendaries, right? In 10x, you just keep pulling it 15% over and over. Whereas with this progressive chance, you can get it up to a 30%. Like, you're making it way more likely to get that Void Legendary. So, yeah, this progressive chance event, you know, if you're spending $1,000, becomes very strong. So that's what's going on there. Now, the next day, that's only for Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're going to have these champs instead. Let me zoom it in. So Wednesday is Cardial, Underpriest Brogni, and Kaja the Rye. So I think that the ancient sacred primal champs are a good bit weaker here, actually. Kaja, first of all, this would be a strange one, I think, to pull for, seeing as there was a guaranteed event on her very recently. I feel like, you know, if you had a lot of shards, you would have gone for that if you wanted her. It'd be fairly unusual to want Kaja, not have been able to do the guaranteed, but be able to get her here with a good chance. Again, remember, it's still only the 8.4 you're going in with. And I'd say that Kaja, she's decent, right? I think Kaja and Timid together, like I said, I sort of rank them. I've been using them actually in Arena. I sort of rate them as like an 8 out of 10, you know? They're pretty decent, but I feel like if you're going to buy a lot of shards, you're usually chasing for something that's better than an 8 out of 10, right? If you can purchase 10 out of 10 champions, why would you buy an 8 out of 10 champion? So I'm not super sold on chasing Kaja. I think she's quite solid. You know, she's a good speed booster, good reviver for Arena. Yeah, she's solid, but I wouldn't be rushing out to chase her. To be honest, Brogni, I think he's a little overrated, honestly. Like, he's obviously extremely good, but a lot of his powers in Demon Lord Clan Boss, right? Which is just, it's kind of irrelevant when you've got to the point where you can have a lot of shards, right? It's just not that. What's the point, really? Unless they add Demon Lord Clash eventually, God forbid. But it could happen. Yeah, I mean, he's great for Doom Tower. He's good for Demon Lord Clan Boss. That's kind of it. Like early game, mid game. Mid game, certainly he'd be even very strong in Arena, but that does sort of fall off. Yeah, I think Brogni, he's a great champion. You know, he's probably a 9 out of 10. You know, so yeah, I mean, you could chase for a Brogni if you want to. I don't know. It's mostly for Doom Tower. Like, where are you going to super use it? Like, I've got Brogni, and to be honest, I don't use them in that many places. Mostly Doom Tower, which is not really what I'm looking for in a progressive chance event, to be honest. Like, I would feel Ragash and Michinaki are both for endgame better, actually. Then Cardial. Now, Cardial is really strong. And I would say Cardial compared to a Krisk. I don't have Cardial. I'd say he's arguably for an endgame player better, and even maybe progressing probably better as well. He is still the best ally attack champion in the game, I would say. Very helpful. He'd obviously be good for Doom Tower. He's also extremely good for Hydra, like Krisk is, but he's also extremely good for Arena. He's also extremely good for Fire Knight, right? So he's good in more areas than Krisk. So yeah, I don't know. I that's a tough one. Like, if I could trade my Krisk for a Cardial, like, I kind of attached to my Krisk, but I might do it, you know? I don't know. That's a tough choice, but Cardial is very, very good. So that's not a bad one for people to be chasing if you're if you're a big old Kraken, you know? Then finally, we have on Thursday, which weirdly lasts for 23 hours this time. But Thursday, we've got Bellatar Mage Slayer, Krokmar, and Noct the Paralyzer. Definitely Noct the Paralyzer, probably the weakest out of all of these. I've got this guy and he's sitting in the vault. Like, I don't know what, but people like him apparently, but I just don't really see particular use for him. He's got, you know, poisons and ally protection. You know, he's not bad, but again, I'm looking at end game sort of stuff compared to, like, is he as good as Brogni? No. Is he as good as Michinaki or Ragash? I don't think so either. So I really wouldn't be rushing out to get him. Krokmar, I think, is pretty fun. Krokmar is pretty cool. Or Krokmar, sorry, Krokmar. Yeah, people like him for Hydra. I think he's decent in Arena as well. So he can permanently decrease target's attack or defense as well as accuracy or resistance. For Hydra, it's nearly always attack. I think Head of Suffering is the only one whose defense gets decreased. So he's not going to up your damage there. But he reduces your damage taken, increased crit rate, crit damage for your team. He's got AoE, his A1, AoE as well. I think he's quite decent as a HP-based damage either for Arena and like longer, slower fights or more slow wearing them down. I used him with Timid and Kaja on that test server showcase, and he was pretty decent, right? People seem to like him. I think Krokmar is pretty good. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if I would be chasing Krokmar, though. I don't know if he has proven value for endgame yet, honestly. And likewise, the Void, I think has maybe better potential. Wait, where he's Ogren. I think he's maybe a little bit better than we initially thought, but again, does not have proven value, which is Bellatar Mage Slayer. So this guy, he's a reviver, right? Brings in a revive with a shield. Then he also has an AoE attack with a heal, an increased attack, increased defense. This is kind of useful, right? It's something I've noticed with Kaja the Rai. When you're using Kaja the Rai in Arena, same problem with Elva, actually, really, because they don't bring increased attack like a Duchess or Arbiter does, or increased defense like a CvC does. It can be a bit even what that orc Void legendary, I can't remember her name. Raka even does increase attack. Having your reviver, your supporter, without these buffs makes it actually a good bit harder to get a damage dealer in, right? It makes it tough because these are such crucial buffs for so many damage dealers. The fact he brings both is quite nice. So I think he does have that going for him. But yeah, again, he does not have proven value. Like Krisk and Cardial have proven value. So I wouldn't be in a rush to get Bellatar. I think he's probably underrated, honestly, but I wouldn't go out and get him when I can get Cardial, who I know is best of the best in so many areas. It just doesn't make sense to chase Bellatar because of that. And yeah, there you go. So they are the champs again. Is this worth going for? Perhaps. It really depends on where you're at. As of right now, it doesn't look like there's really any other events particularly overlapping. There's likely to be big summoning events this weekend as well, because it's actually going to be, Black Friday, right? These are events for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Black Friday. There's likely to be something else over the weekend. Might be just 2x events over the weekend, but who knows? Maybe 2x with 10x on top, which is pretty good as well. So yeah, I don't know. There's constantly summoning events in the game. You don't need to feel like you have to go for any of them. I do think, like I said, I think that the Tuesday with Krisk, Michinaki, Ragash, that's a strong day. All of those are strong options. Wednesday, I think Cardial is really good, and Brogny's not bad, but I wouldn't probably go for it. I would go for Cardial, but not Brogny. And then Thursday, I think Bellatar and Krokmar have potential, but they're so new. I'd rather go for something that we're certain about exactly the impact it would have. Be my sort of take on it. But yeah, let me know. What do you think about these events? Are you going to go for any of them? Personally, probably not. I mean, I could maybe go for Cardial, but that's about it. Like, I'm quite low for how many shards I like for the other shard type, so I'm not in a rush, but to pull any of them, I could maybe do Cardial pull, but not sure. Like 1 in 5 chance. Cardial will be really, really nice. But I don't know. Don't know about that one. Let me know what you would do if you were me. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.